Hey everyone, this is Joe McNamee. Here's a little segment. I used to do this a long time ago. We're going to start doing this again. A lot of people loved it. It's a segment on just ask me questions about all different kinds of things with real estate investing business. Okay, so the first question, go ahead and hit me with that.
Hey, thanks for taking my question. So my question is, what's the best way for me to find sellers that are willing to work with me on the terms that I'm looking to get out of the deal?
That constantly changes all the time. I love that question because it depends on what's going on in the economy. You have to stay focused on the economy and know where the trouble problems are. Since 2007, when the crash hit, banks started having trouble writing checks. Well, it appears as though banks are writing checks just a little bit better. The truth is they're really not. You'll see more organizations or I should say there's more loans going to people who are dependent on Uncle Sam for their income. So they're going to get a loan a little quicker, but they're also getting those houses way below the value that the house really should be being sold for. So you have to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of the market and know what's working best. So figuring out what their soft spot is, or their sore spot, where there's an open wound that you're identifying, maybe rubbing a little salt into it, and then solving the problem, all within a few seconds of your marketing message. So for example, if I say, I buy houses, any price range, any condition, fast, that identifies a problem out there, and I solve it immediately with that short little sweet message. So just assume everybody's going 55 or 60 mile an hour, whether it's online or it's physically driving, past your message. Get that message read so that they want to know more about it, contact you for more information. Okay. Next question.
Hey Joe, from a business managing perspective, how do you build up the confidence that your buyers and sellers have in you and your program?
Yeah, that's a good one. Matter of fact, last night I was just helping out a student where a buyer was supposed to pay $1,000 a week and then also $1,200 a month. The $1,000 a week, which is $4,000 a month roughly, that $4,000 was going towards their down payment, growing the down payment up. Well, the confidence was lost in that buyer, so he stopped making his monthly payments. Number one, he misunderstood, thought he was supposed to come up with $5,000 down. He was supposed to come up with $12,000 down, and it's easily rectified. He knows it. It's in writing, it's in the contract, in the agreement, but he didn't really clearly understand what was going on. So making sure that you become very anal, very positive about explaining what's supposed to happen, and then having them tell you back what it is that you just said to them, so that you can get that feedback, so he would have easily understood better. The second part of the confidence is making sure that you keep really good records. So there was a mistake that was made last night that I caught. The buyer felt that he had put $5,000 towards the property already, and the investor thought that he had put $2,000. Well, the simple little error was that the receipt book, where they were writing the receipts out for each one of the payments, he went in normal order, each page normal order, writing down his receipts, but somehow or another he got in a hurry actually two times during a 4-month process, and wrote out the receipts for 2 of the payments from the back of the book instead of the front. So he didn't realize those receipts even existed, so he didn't give them credit for those payments. Now this happens to be, it was cash each time handed to him, so the receipt book becomes the only record. So I recommend also you have 2 different types of records. One is, people bring me cash all the time. I try to encourage them to bring in a money order, a cashier's check, so that there's that record, and then of course your receipt book. But you got to make sure that you're keeping good records. You should also have a file on each address that you're dealing with, where you're keeping a ledger in there of your payments, and every time you're receiving a payment and how much it was and what it goes towards. Is this towards just rent? Is this a seller finance deal? Is this a payment that is towards the down payment? Okay, so keeping good records will help them have more confidence in you and your system. So that's one way. It's just a little management tip there. There's a lot of things to it, but I'm just hitting some quick ones for you. Another question?
So Joe, from a real estate perspective, how do I build a buyer's list to sell houses?
So a lot of people come to me and they ask me if other people in the real estate investing world, like realtors, bankers, loan originators, all different people that rely on the sale of a house. If they can't figure out how to sell houses, what makes me so cocky or bold to be able to say, I can sell the house quickly and it'll take a matter of hours, days, or weeks, as opposed to the average person out there trying to do it in several months or even years. So it's about building a buyer's list and finding people that can afford your property, that no matter what the cost is on it, finding people that can afford at least what that property costs. So when you're building a buyer's list, you're putting your terms out there. So let's go back to that first question where I'm putting a message out that, assuming people are going 55 or 60 mile an hour past it, and I got a second or two, maybe 3 seconds to attract them. If I can't attract them in those couple of seconds, then I've lost them. They're not going to want to pay attention to all my websites and all that kind of stuff. I got to grab them quickly. So I'm going to rub salt in an open wound, and I'm going to solve the problem in a short, sweet, up to the point, up front message. So it's about my terms. I market my terms. My terms are can be a lease option, can be owner financing, can be no bank qualifying, can be no credit check, it can be move in this afternoon, it can be no hassles, it can be all different kinds of wording that you want to do and play with in your area and see which one works best. You can use all of them, or you can use just one of them that you see as the common need to solve the problem. Don't just assume that you're building a buyer's list, then every one of those buyers are just coming in and cashing out your properties. You won't make anywhere near as much money if you try to do that. But I understand people do want to cash out properties. So when you bring these people into your world and build their confidence in you and your system, and help them solve their own problems so that they can get out after the cheapest money possible to own that property, which gives them the lowest payment down the road possible, you're going to have all the buyers you can possibly handle. Okay, I really appreciate it. There'll be more of these coming, so stay tuned.